Hello there. It has been a while since I last created a Python video, but recently I was working with Linux devices and I had to, let's say, automate some actions through SSH. And back in the days when I first got to basically use SSH with Python, I used Paramiko and it did the job kind of good, but I thought to myself, well, let's look around what we can use or what's trending nowadays. And I have found parallel SSH. And in this video, I would like to show you how to use it. I'm going to use my Neowide editor, and on the desktop I'm going to create a directory called demo and then start Neowide. And basically in the demo what I want to do, let's create a virtual environment, parallel-ssh, and then activate the virtual environment. So parallel-ssh /bin parallel-ssh /bin scripts activate that ps1. Good. And I want to source it or activate that bat. How is it on Windows? Now it was activated. So pip install parallel-ssh. And once the installation is complete, what we can do is to basically create our demo. I'm going to refresh the nursery root. And then we are going to do some demo. So here, how should we go about this? Like this, node 3. Refresh root, good. And in demo, we are going to create a child node, and this is going to be called demo.py. And I think I have my emulator there. So navigate to parallel-ssh in this folder and cd demo and source parallel-ssh bin activate ps1 source. Not recognized. Great. Anyway, then we are going to use the terminal. So I have 3 hosts, and these hosts are the RPi, the RPi cluster, and the RPi NAS, I think. Ping RPi, ping RPi cluster, ping RPi NAS. Good. They are also available. So we have 2 ways from pssh.clients. We can import the SSH client, and in that case what I could do is to create a client from the SSH client and the host's first item, and then the output is going to be SSH client, or rather client.run command and df-h. And afterwards what I can do is to use the output.stdout, and if I save it and try to run it, the Python demo, we will see that this is a generator object, and we should expand the generator object. We can create a list about it, And once we have the list, we can see that this was the output from the first client. And basically, we can now transform this by saying that we want to join this with the \r\n join, and this should provide us with a decently formatted output from the machine. So if I want to iterate over these machines, then I can say for hosts in hosts, and I indent these commands, and then I will just basically say that I'm reusing the host. I run the command, and maybe, just maybe, I will provide a separator. So f host, and then we use the hashtag 30 times. And if we run the demo, you can see the host, the output from the RPy, and it seems to be stuck. No authentication methods succeeded. Which one was that? Okay. So maybe we should inspect it. So let's open up a shell, and from pssh.clients import ssh client. And if we inspect the SSH client, we can see these are the attributes and methods that are available. And if my instinct is correct, then we should have a way to provide the means to authenticate. And it should be P key, so PQRMNO P key. No P key. Then the auth, maybe. So help SSH client dot auth client auth function. That's not the right one for us. P key. No attribute P key. Okay. Maybe if we create an instance. So equals to SSH client RPy. Then dear client. That didn't change anything. So the problem is that if I try to SSH to the RPy machine, it lets me in. If I SSH to the RPy NAS, it lets me in. And the RPy cluster, it lets me in, but it uses a different user. So let's try the RPy hole. So SSH RPy hole. Good. So by default, it is going to assume your username, and it will search for basically the SSH config to identify which authentication method can be used. And now you can see that from each of the Raspberry Pis, we got the response. So it's pretty good or flexible, so to speak. But if we want to iterate over a list of hosts with like more efficiency, then we can use from pssh clients the parallel-ssh client. And in that case, all we have to do is to say that the clients is parallel-ssh client hosts. So we provide the list, and then we get the outputs. from the clients.run command. Let's do the same df-h, and now we can iterate over the results. So basically the host output in outputs, and then we can inspect the host output. Output. Good. Let's rerun the demo. As you can see in the output, we receive object or objects. Each host is represented by an object, and it has the exit code, an alias if we specified, encoding, read timeout, and a name. And we can use these attributes. So for example, let's create a separator, and I say that I want to mention that output from host output that host. And if I run it once again, you can see that now we have the host name where the output came from, and we can say that the status or status is going to be OK, and it is going to be OK if hosts output dot exit code is equal to 0, else error. Now if we run it, we can see that OK, error, and OK. What was the error? Let's just inspect it. Print outputs. And exit code none. Or hosts output exit code is none. And then, since we see the output, this should be good. So now it shows OK. Just a quick patch, so to speak. And then with another separator, we can provide the actual output. And that can be provided by technically copy pasting this one. Copy. So copy and save. And now we have the host output. Good. Status awk, output from NAS. Good. Awk output. It's interesting that despite the exit code is not 0 but none, we still get the right output. So anyway, basically this is how you can use it, and it can do everything that your user is able to do. So for example, let's create a sudo clients and parallel-ssh client hosts, and sudo outputs is going to be clients.run command and sudo systemctl daemon reload. Then we can go ahead and first try to run it. Right, exit and run it. Good. It didn't give an error. So now inspect the output, sudo output, and That's basically it. It's interesting because this is none regarding the exit code, but interesting. What else could we do? Maybe if I change it to touch, and let's touch something in the temp sudo parallel-ssh and run it. Huh. Encoding, exit code. And is there anything in the temp folder? Sudo parallel-ssh. It was created. So the exit code is a bit interesting, but technically, if I wanted, I could expand this one as well. And just simply say that okay. And then print. Let's inspect what we have in the output. Okay. Let's run it. So obviously this doesn't have any kind of output, but what we could do, oh, let's try something. So exit 1, and this way. Interesting. So one thing that you can do with the parallel SSH client that you cannot do with the simple SSH client is that you specify the P key, so the private key. And for the private key, you would specify the path where the private key lives, SSH ID or SA, and after that, this private key will be used for authentication. And basically that's it. That's all I wanted to show you. See you in the next one.